he looks.
Well, hi, ladies and gentlemen. We are live. And, of course, I think Jeannie noticed when we're live, so that's when she comes over and tries to interact the most that she possibly can. For those of you who don't know, Jeannie is my wonderful little Boston Terrier dog, and she's around here somewhere.
I'm surprised she's not, like, in the couch in the middle of us.
Yeah, she doesn't know where the new layout is. As you guys can see, we're doing some updates to some of our tech and some of our other accoutrement with our show here. Hope you enjoy it. Hope you enjoy the increased presentation and hopeful production values.
Yeah, hopefully the audio's better, and I also hope you enjoy us floundering through the fact that we have new technology.
Yeah, and let me tell you something, folks. Unfortunately, you have missed the wonders of feedback.
Oh, yeah, the feedback was chef's
The
kiss.
amount of feedback that we have discovered today is amazing, and we're very happy to not share the feedback with you. You don't get to
Yes.
get it. Only we get to get all of the wonderful feedback from all of this wonderful new audio equipment that we have currently.
We've got a bunch of speakers and like 3 microphones all trying to interact together, and they decide that they did not like each other. So
Yeah. So, again, guys, if there's any weird artifacts or anything to do with particularly our audio this stream, throw it up in the comments section or into the chat. If we're hurting anybody's ears, please let us know. This is our first time rolling with some new doodads that, well, allow us to do some pretty interesting things. But it's more on like the entry-level podcast voice changing types of things if we want to get silly and stupid with things. So let's hear it for our new tech. Yeah! All right! Oh, did you
we
hear
have an
that?
applause button.
But a really, really abrupt applause
Like,
button.
stops so fast.
It's like, yeah!
You get an applause for like 6 seconds, and that's it. That's all you get.
That's all we get here. So we're going to be kicking the tires on this. And again, please let us know if there's anything wrong with what we're doing. We got a bunch of stuff to let you guys know about coming down the LARPverse towards you. So first, we're going to let you guys know of some of our upcoming trips that we're going on the road with. Like I said earlier, or I didn't say earlier, this is our last podcast of the 2024
Our last live stream.
year. Oh, right.
We're not. We
Live
have,
stream.
we have a video audio.
That's
video.
what we
We're
do.
not a podcast.
Yeah. So this is our last broadcast of the year.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us.
Which is kind of crazy. This year's felt like it's lasted for all of 2 weeks and all of 3 years. So
Yeah. It's
2024 is almost over.
yeah. So much has happened this year. It's particularly in the LARP guys. For myself, I've had some of the most rewarding LARP memories in this past year that I've had in the past few, really, between my first time at Drakenfest and the absolutely amazing weekend was the Crossroads weekend where the Aurora Borealis came down for our weekend, where on Friday night we just kind of all hung out and
Stared at the sky.
just stared up. It was super cool, and it was really cool hanging out with everybody and kind of creating that sense of community that we all show up to these games and enjoy. So, speaking of games to enjoy,
Yes.
we're going to be hitting the road. We are going to be showing up at the next Alliance Atlanta game, which is January 17th to 19th down there in Atlanta.
I was gonna say it's the first game of the year, but it's not anymore. But it's the first game of the Southeast.
Yeah, it's the first game in the Southeast. There's another game running earlier than that in Chicago.
Yeah.
That's right, January 10th.
10th, which is, I mean, I like LARPing in the snow. So if you want to LARP in the snow, go hit up Chicago in January.
Yeah, that really makes me wonder, like, what, and Chicago players, if you want to shout out and let us know what your plan is out there. That sounds really interesting. And are you guys, like, playing mostly indoors, or like what kind of camp situation do you have up there? Because if it's like, a place that has plenty of indoor, like maybe they just are playing 100% indoors.
Maybe it's a feast.
Or maybe they're way harder than us and don't mind the snow as much.
Just built different.
Yeah, they're just built thicker and more windproof up there.
Yeah.
But they're having a game on in early January, and we hope that they all have a blast. We are looking forward to seeing everybody in the Greater Alliance as we go on the road for the rest of the year. Most games have not scheduled their games yet in the Alliance.
Yeah.
We have right now we have Atlanta
Yes.
and Virginia that
Yes.
have their schedules posted on the CMA.
Yes.
Chicago put
their-
up their
yeah.
January 10th game, and
That's-
well, I'm jumping down our run here on our list, India, but
It's jumping ahead.
Crossroads now has their dates public. That's
Yay!
right. Yeah.
Yay! Oh. No more applause.
No more. So yeah, we're our dates are. Our dates are out on the CMA right now.
Yes.
Our opener is.
I have it. I have it right here.
It's
I have it.
right
Look, I have.
around
I
here
have a
on
notebook.
your piece of paper. India, why don't you tell them about the Crossroads dates for
Yes.
2025?
So our opener is gonna be a little later this year in April, April 4th to the 6th, which hopefully means we're gonna miss the rain, and the mud, and the slipping and sliding and falling down the hills. Me, I fall every time it rains. Then we have our second game, May 30th to June 1st. So a little bit later again. So we're going into June. And then we have our kids event again, July 12th. One-day kids event. If you attended our kids event last year, it's going to work very similarly, where you come volunteer for the day, and then we're going to have a small mod encounter at night for people who volunteer. You can PC at night and PC during the day. It's only a single day event, so you'll get at least a little experience. And then October 17th to 19th is our third game, and that throws us directly in between Atlanta and Virginia. So it's going to be Atlanta, us, Virginia. So it's a Southeast packed month in October.
Heck yeah.
And then our closer is also later, and that's December 12th to the 14th. So
Yeah,
I think
folks.
we're the only December game anywhere.
Yeah, that's our so our plan this year, this coming year, 2025. The Renaissance Fair that is using the site is planning on expanding their. Oh, thanks, Dave. That's wonderful.
Oh, thanks, David.
So nice. So yes, the Ren Fair that's using the Crossroads site is expanding potentially to 2 weekends, so we have to give them a little bit more room. And if we were to still go right after them, that would kind of put us right up against Thanksgiving. So we made
Yeah.
the decision of going later into the year and going into the December timeframe. And one of the reasons why we're putting our opener where it is and putting this December event on our calendar is we're hoping to have some pretty significant improvements in construction on the site done so we can have a colder weather event, and so we can moving forward in 2026 have our calendar be more regular throughout the year, because we're not going to be the idea is that what we're building will have better air conditioning and heating, so we can play throughout the year more.
Yes.
Because there's like this gap where we have an advantage because we're a permanent site, right? So we can schedule where a lot of the traditional folks out there that rent can't, because the summer camps are running, but it's just so hot.
It's so hot.
Yeah, and our tavern isn't AC'd yet. So we're hoping that will get encapsulated, AC'd, and I think once we have a place where our player base can get cool, out of the elements, then that's where we can expand our both deeper into the winter and into the summertime schedules.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of the cool improvements that are coming our way locally. We're getting a lot of work done on the site, and it's because of your support that it's happening. All the players that have showed up to all of the games, and as the games keep on growing, that just gives us more flexible capital to put into our improvements, and it's really starting to show.
Yeah,
So,
constantly building up on that site. Hopefully this will be a very obvious improvement that will improve the lives of NPCs and PCs alike.
yeah. So right now I'm spending a lot of my time up in the tavern when I'm not working, kind of taking things down right now. Oh, there's Jeannie.
There she is. Hi,
yeah,
Bean.
All right. There's Jeannie's butt. At least.
Here's my butt.
Yeah. Hey.
Wrong kind of stream, Jeannie.
What are you
There
doing?
she
Oh,
is.
hello. Yeah, you good girl?
Oh, she's got
look at
demon
Texas.
eyes because of the colored lance.
If only we knew the thoughts of Genie B.
I'm I'm not sorry. Yeah. So thanks, Jeannie, for our first first voiceover.
Yeah.
She's a good girl. Yeah, site improvements, they're coming, and we're really excited to have them happen. And it's going to take a bunch of work, but once they are done, things are going to get even better at Crossroads. And we had a heck of a year this year, really.
We really did.
Challenges and all, just getting through things, community growing, having some really, really talented folks backstage with us, producing some of the best games and game concepts that I've seen in quite a while. So it's
Yeah.
good times, good times.
Yeah, I'm excited to have Lawrence as head of plot for the next year. And then we have some new plot additions as well. And I think those new additions under the guidance of the existing, more experienced plot staff will have some really cool ideas for the 2025 season.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm looking forward to playing LARP in 2025 and getting back out on the road and shooting some more LARP videos. We've been, because of, life happening to a bunch of us kind of hardcore here in the Asheville, North Carolina area.
Yeah.
We've not been able to produce the videos on the same clip that we wanted to, but we still have all of that footage that we shot last year that we are going to get back onto the horse and start producing videos.
Yes.
And India, when do you expect us to be able to get our next video out?
At the latest, I was thinking a New Year's Eve premiere for the newest one. If I get it done extra quickly and I feel like there's no more improvements that can be made, we might put it out around the week of Christmas.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then we're going to try to get back into a more regular scheduled production schedule. We're also looking for folks who want to help out with the channel and learn a little bit of editing, if you like, production side of things. And also we're always looking for folks who want to help out with the camera crews on the road. So if you see us at a chapter near you and you see us running around with our cameras and everything, ask us if you can help us out, and we could probably get you some dragon stamps for it.
Yeah. Anybody volunteering to help me on the editing side or wearing a camera or carrying a camera at any of the events we travel to, you will get a dragon stamp reward for doing so. So come get some free goodies.
Indeed. And I just want to notice again how perfectly my dog has found her framing. In the live stream, like she's got a whole couch. She could be over there. Oh wait, over there.
Over here.
Over there.
Over there. But she's picked right in the middle.
But she picked right where you guys can see her. So hi, Jeannie.
The white on her picking up the different colored lights so nicely.
Technicolor beams. One heck of a year, 2024. We got our 2025 dates out there for Crossroads.
Yes.
But there are some things happening out in the LARPverse that we're checking out this coming year that we're going to tell you guys all about. One of them is outside the purview of the Alliance is a game called Drakenfest, which is pretty darn cool. Let's see if we can.
There we go.
Oh, yeah!
Hey, we did it. We didn't break everything.
Everything still works. All right. Hopefully you guys can still hear us. All right. So, Drakenfest, their regular tickets just went on sale. Now, we haven't gotten our discount code yet. Once we do, we'll get it out to you. So if you want to buy tickets right away, go ahead and check them out. They are available. If you want to get a little bit of a discount, hopefully we'll be able to get ourselves a discount code to get out to you for your first time out at Drakenfest this year. The Alliance player base, a bunch of us have been talking, and it seems like we're starting to kind of congeal like a group of Alliance folks that are going out to Drakenfest this year. And we're playing with the idea of maybe putting together a Discord to help us organize and to potentially see if we want to kind of gather in mass for either a camp or a some other part of the festival itself. I will say that just because of where we're coming from as Boffer style LARPers, especially those of us that we've already talked to who run LARPs, you tend to have a bunch of costuming, particularly monstrous costumes.
Yep.
And I have a bunch of high-end goblin and orc masks. So I'm just saying, one of the cooler things about Drakenfest, particularly those people that play all those really cool orcs and goblin type characters, is that you're allowed to play essentially the same card, but you play your goblin or orc, and then you also play the thrall or the less makeup intensive version of that character, so you could switch them out based on the environments. And I'm sure there's other restrictions in gameplay ideals there, but it would be really cool if we all went like Team Goth and went to Shadow Camp and
Oh yeah.
showed out as a bunch of orcs and goblins doing silly shit, but also a bunch of goth death dealing
Death Knights.
death knights
yeah.
and such. I think it's costuming that the Alliance player base could easily throw together based on all of the wonderful NPC camps that I've seen in your shows. But it's really an opportunity I see as Drakenfest. Now I'm going to be involved with Drakenfest this year on a backstage level somewhere. I'm still in. They're still interviewing me and finding where I fit. I'm very much looking forward to talking to them about that. But I'll be helping out on some level on their production side. But I think it would be awesome to have a whole bunch of Alliance folks out there, not only to support this larger format game, but to really lean into the opportunity that this thing has of being kind of like a LARP mixer. Like, yes, there's the game of Drakenfest, which is fun as hell, but there's also, because of how long form it is, there's so much opportunity in downtime. And just how, like, Alliance folks, how many times have you met somebody in the game and just wished, like, man, I wish we could just, like, hang out?
Yeah, for like a whole day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just like go out and as a group and just like have a couple drinks with like-minded people where, and we've had like times like at the symposium where we'll all go out to like a bar or a brewery or something like that and have like a little communal thing, and that's cool. But when we're all LARPers, when there's thousands
Yeah.
potentially, or hundreds of us, and everybody's into the same thing, we'll be among our people. And I really believe that the people that are in the Alliance will shine at Drakenfest.
Yeah.
Your personalities, your presence, your kindness, it will fit right in there. I really believe that, and I think that anybody that shows up there will definitely learn something about the art form of LARP. And I'm very, very excited to go back out there this year and help out any way I can, and looking forward to having a blast. So Drakenfest this year is, I wish we put the dates up there, but I have it right in front of us in the website. It's June 23rd through June 29th. Now there is, you can show up early and help out with setup. So you can show up even earlier than that, but the main game runs those days, and it is one heck of an experience. I can't wait to see you guys out there. India's showing up this year with Dan and
Yes.
a bunch of other folks from the Crossroads game area. Lawrence is going to show back up. Not sure if Lawrence is running Blue Camp again this year. I hope he well, I know that wherever he goes is going to be up and beyond. But he did a heck of a job running Blue Camp last year on the ref side, and I look forward to seeing what they get up to this year.
Yeah, I'm excited to actually see it in person because I've stared at photos and I've heard you and Dan talk about it constantly, and I haven't had like a big case of like, oh, I have FOMO from missing this game for a while, but I definitely had that with Drakenfest. I was like, man, I wish I could have just made it work.
Yeah, it's transformative. It's one heck of an experience to see on that scale, and I know that there's bigger games out there, but this one is pretty special. And again, to see that game on that type of scale and the upside that this organization and game has for the future, for how big it can get. I mean, they just did a Drakenfest Australia this year.
Oh, ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Talk about putting that on the bucket list. I want to go to the Germany one real bad, but Australia.
I think I'd rather go to Australia.
Well, I've been to Germany, so like
Yeah.
Australia, I haven't. That would be interesting.
That would be really that's a heck of a flight though to go for a LARP game.
Well, if you guys want to send us to Drakenfest Australia in 2025, there's a really good way to do it, and that is buying some Crossroads merchandise. Now, it's going to take a heck of a lot of mugs and T-shirts and little doodads. Somebody buy like 10,000 of everything, and then we can all
Yeah.
go. It'll be great. But as you can see, we got our
matching
mugs.
mugs.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know if it's autofocusing, but it's really nice. We got a different type of mug, and this is well, I got this T-shirt, right? Well, it's a button down. See?
Yeah.
Real nice. So when you are a vendor, you can get like samples of things made. So I had a couple samples made of some things that I'm going to show to you guys right now, and these are like ultra rare. I'm not sure if they're even ever going to be produced. One is another mug that
The bigger size
the
mug.
bigger size mug, but this has the emblem. And I don't know why I picked this. I think I was ignoring the scaling of said emblem. So this is the mug. Mug versus mug. So different sizes, right?
One's like a 10-ounce, one's like a
And then
20-ounce.
check this logo out.
Are
You're
you ready?
talking about like you really wanna get your message out there. Man, nothing gets the word out there.
Like the tiniest dissonance head
the
in
tiniest,
existence.
ittiest, bittiest logo you ever want to see. Right there.
Yeah.
So,
There's a reason that those ones are not in the shop.
yeah. So if you want to look like you have a horsefly permanently on your cup.
This is the Patreon stickers of 2022 all over again.
Also, you might not be able to see it, but we can here in the studio. This mug is drop resistant. Now, it did not shatter when I dropped it, but it does have a really bunch of cool hairline fractures all the way around the bottom here, and it will slowly and sneakily leak all over your desk if you fill it up with water. So another selling point that when you drop it and crack it, it will leak. But stay
Magic
together.
disappearing liquid. It was in your cup. Where'd it go? I don't know.
Now, next thing is, I remember thinking, as I walk over here into the studio, we'll slide over. I remember thinking, man, wouldn't it be cool if we had like desktop peripherals, little
Yeah.
little things that are fun to put on your desk and might make your life a little bit easier, or just a thing that everybody needs, especially when you work with computers. And I thought like mouse pad. But then again, I ignored scaling.
Well, the other problem was he told me he wanted a mouse pad, and I went gamer mouse pad.
This is the biggest. I thought I got a blanket. This is the Crossroads mouse pad to end all. Like, look at that. No more India. It's just the
mouse pad.
So this is this is one of our.
I hear mouse pad and I think, yeah, desk size mouse pad for gaming mouse pad. Absolutely, I'm gonna make us a mouse pad.
This is
In my
not a mouse
opinion,
pad. This
that
is
is small.
This is a rat pad. All right. So you can get a rat pad for your computer. It's quite big, but it's made out of that cool like durable.
Poly,
supple
whatever.
mouse pad material.
Rubber
I had it on my
backing.
desk earlier, but I took it off so I can show you guys. So we're coming up with new merchandise all the time, even the stuff that you don't see because we put it together, get a sample of it, and realize it's stupid.
It doesn't work. Yeah, the mouse pads have that nice like rubber no grip, no slip grip backing. So
Yeah.
they're great. Again,
So-
I think that's too small, and I want a bigger one.
Well, I just realized that I was trying to show them the merch when we were this big on the little screen because we were stuck in the Drakenfest.
Oh, we were stuck in the Drakenfest one.
Yeah. So.
Well, you have one more anyway. You have one more anyway, right?
Oh, I do.
Yeah.
I have this, my new travel mug. I take this to work with me every single day.
That is an appropriately scaled dissonance logo.
Yes, this is the way your dissonance logo is supposed to look.
Yes.
And it holds coffee or any other liquid-based beverage that you would like. It keeps it at a standardized temperature based on what you put it in out, almost like it's a thermos. But yeah,
And you don't have to pay the Stanley sticker price.
whoever that is, we don't want to pay that price. So
Yeah, it's
you
like
can get those from
70.
us at our merch store. You can check it out on our website where
Dropping
India is
the
throwing
link
those
now.
links in the chat right now. So check them out. We certainly appreciate it, and we love seeing our merch on our player base and out in the world. Boy, oh boy, this has been quite the journey, India, when we're going through this amazing year of LARP. I'm very, very excited about, like we said, 2025 getting out there. We're going to Dragonfest. As I'm looking at our calendar,
Yes.
so we got like one heck of a run out there this summer. I'm very much looking forward to it. So we
Tiny screen for tiny dissonance.
tiny logo. So yeah, so after Dragonfest, we're going to have a couple weeks off, and then we're going to be going out to Minnesota for the
Yes.
Alliances National Game. Guys, you've seen the Castle episodes. Go, if not, check out the Castle episode on the channel. There's 2 of them, soon to be 3 in the next couple of months here. Every time we go out to the Minnesota game, it is a blast.
Yes.
And it's a really cool mixture out there because they the Minnesota, especially the Castle game, it kind of pulls from all 3 chapters out there. So even though it's like the Castle games of the past have never, like they've not been a quote regional, but they always kind of
There's
end up,
always enough people from other chapters
Yeah.
that it feels like a regional.
yeah, it has a very national community feel to it.
It
And
does.
yeah, it's going to be amazing to see the actual national footprint at that castle.
Yeah.
India's involved. She's going to be DGM or one of the
AGM.
GMs. AGM.
Yes.
That's
Assistant General Manager for the 2025 Nationals, because apparently I like punishment enough to do it twice in a row.
Yeah. So you'll be helping out there.
Yes.
Crossroads is already slated to help out with some of the technical lighting of that show.
Yes.
We're going to be bringing some of our footprint up there. For those of you who played the local Crossroads games, you know that we put a couple bucks into our nighttime lighting, and I'm really hoping to bring all of those bells and whistles out to the castle to really make it pop at night. Because one of the things that yes, it adds to the ambiance when it's like a true dark event, but for something as grandiose as what I think you guys are going to try to pull at this national, we want that thing to be lit at night, that castle area.
Yeah.
And I think that we have just enough tools right now as far as instruments themselves to do it, and everything else that we add from here on in is just going to be bonus. So we're technically ready to provide the technical support for the lighting of that castle. And I cannot wait to see what Nate, Jonathan, and the rest of that team do out there.
Yeah. I'm excited for that plot team.
Yeah.
Actually, speaking of the Nationals too, there was a call from the National Plot staff that if you are a crafter, a prop maker, a costume maker, a weapon maker, anything like that, they are currently looking to source as many different crafty folks from across the Alliance as possible. There's a post on the forums to check that out and how to get in contact with them if you want to donate some of your skills to make a different prop or costume piece. And in exchange, you are getting, I think it's dragon stamps, because you are donating to a national event. So
Yeah.
if you like to make things, check out the Alliance forums for that post. And it's been shared across many discords as well. And go make things.
Heck yeah. And help them out. Your stuff will be seen on a national level, and a bunch of people
Yes.
will go, ooh. And then more than likely what will happen when your cool thing gets seen at the national level is all the other owners that are there are going to be like, hey, can you make some of those for us?
Yep.
Then you can get all of the dragon stamps and goblin stamps in the Alliance in
Yes.
one fell swoop. Be pretty
Become a dragon, sit on your horde of different stamps from different chapters.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, I'm I'm really excited about the national event at the castle and the symposium that's going to be connected to it.
Yeah.
It's really like the footprint that place makes it available to us. I'm hoping that we'll have access to it throughout that entire week. So potentially, we could spend like a week doing symposium during the day, but maybe like all the owners getting together and building a cool prop thing or an area or doing something communal with each other for the greater.
Even just set dress in the castle.
Yeah, set dressing the castle. I think it would be tremendous.
Yeah.
I've like that place is such a wonder that like when you look at it as a LARP producer, the amount of different configurations that you can, particularly when they start using that outbuilding NPC camp,
Oh yeah.
the amount of different things that you guys can do there is amazing. Plus the fact that you guys are doing it during the time of year when people can camp there too.
Yes, it's not super cold. It's not super hot. Labor Day weekend was gorgeous this
Yeah.
year. So
Yeah. So it's going to be a heck of a time. I'm so looking forward to getting with Nate and everybody out there and having a blast because it's a joy every time I go out there.
Yeah.
And those are great people, and man, they bring a lot to the game.
they really do. Yeah.
Most definitely. So we've gotten a lot of our stuff done and out of the way, but we wanted to engage you guys in some LARP conversations. And one of our topics that we're going to come up with now, there's some votes that are coming up and some discussions that are happening in the Alliance with the Alliance ownership that have to do with burst damage, but it kind of like a lot of the some of the discussions that are happening right now are pertaining to the overpowered nature of, say, our eviscerate skill.
Yeah.
All right. And then there's also some concerns about some of the overpoweredness and some of the scaling issues that are being caused by the ability of players to get out this burst damage so
Repeatedly,
fast.
yeah.
And the struggles that the backstage runners are having providing a
Balanced game.
balanced game, a challenge, but also there's and maybe you guys can help me out with the correct phrasing to this, but there's it's not skill level seems a little imperfect, but there's only so much capacity that each individual person has to track things, right, mentally, and
Yes.
that's a different level for everybody. But there's a certain point, particularly backstage, where you have to, like, you can only play so big of a card before you max out and
Yeah.
you get overwhelmed, and it stops being about entertaining people and more about getting that card right.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that takes away from the experience from definitely the NPC side, but also there's a certain problem that happens when players don't feel particularly challenged, but they don't want to give up that powerful thing that makes them individually powerful. And I think both of those things kind of feed into level creep. I mean,
Yeah.
if we didn't have a level creep problem, would we have so many of these players with all of this burst damage capacity? If our average player level was 10 points lower, or 10 levels lower rather, or whatever that integer is, whatever that tuning mechanism is, I really think that if our average level was lower, we'd have less of these instances being recorded. Because guys, or folks out there, there's frustration in that. Okay, so now we as owners and the people that are discussing the game balance side of things, there's always that, well, if we give something, we have to give it to all of the classes. Same meaning that if we take something away, do we take it away from all the classes? Or if we take this away and there's a counterbalance to this class over here and we took this guy's stuff away, why aren't we doing it vice versa? And I'm hitting this mic thing so much.
It's still new. The
Ugh.
space is this is a new thing in the space. So
I'm so bad at this. All right, so I'm gonna keep my other arm up here and out of the way. That's where this arm lives now. It's just that's where it lives. So, yeah.
we'll get this right eventually. Figure it out.
So one of the challenges is, if a big change is made and if enough rules are changed, it's going to hurt our player base by them leaving. And then like the counterbalance of like, are we changing rules too fast? Are we trying to be as responsive as a video game when we're not? So burst damage, level creep. What do you think, India? What are your experiences with that?
I mean, I definitely have experience on both sides, right? Like, it's fun to be the person who has that one big hit, and you get it off on the big bad, and they drop, right? Like, your big burst damage is what killed the big bad guy, but at the same time, you're not the only one that has that, and so you have 50 players trying to contend and all be that person who gets their burst damage off on the big bad guy.
Yeah.
And so what staff has to do is stat for that. And there's also been a thing that I've noticed to a little bit of a response. When you use skills to counter skills, people don't like it. So if I have a monster that I know, like, okay, we have this much burst damage that can come from town, my options are give that monster defensives, parries, dodges, evades, or just give them more health. And the response where I give them the defensives to deal with a certain, like, amount of burst damage to, give it a good fight, give it a balanced fight, give it a challenging fight, versus when I just stack more health on them, the players are way more invested when I don't have defensives to counter it. When I have a monster that has a bunch of parries or dodges to answer back to the same skills that players are throwing at the monster, they get, I don't want to say upset, but frustrated when something keeps saying dodge or parry or evade, versus if they just take the damage and soak it, they feel like they're actually doing something.
Yeah.
So at this point, like, I don't feel like these skills, where you just dump a bunch of damage into something once or 5 times, they're not really doing anything. They don't have the same effect that they had when everybody was a lower level and you had maybe one of them in your group, and that was your, like, emergency stop button, be all end all. If we need to end this, I have this one thing that I can do. Now everybody has like 10 or 12 of them, and it just doesn't have that same feeling anymore. And I think the level creep is also the issue too, because you do have people that just sit on these numerous skills because they've gotten everything they want to do with their class, and now they're just kind of putting XP into whatever will stack. And so you're sitting on 30 slays or 20 dodges, and it's just, no matter what you do, you're never going to be able to match that with a monster.
Yeah.
So I think a lower level or like a rebalancing is definitely not uncalled for.
Yeah, the challenge with that being is that we already have the CMA who's full of all of these character cards, right?
Yeah.
And everybody has those levels, and everybody's like, yes, the levels should be lower, just not mine.
Yeah, but not mine.
But not mine. And then, some more hardliners will say something along the lines of, well, just turn over your player base more, kill them. We've been trying.
Yeah.
But
there's also a way to do that without enraging your player base.
yeah, and it takes time and it takes investment in your plot lines. And there are places in the Alliance that are trying that. One, unless we start knocking out 90% of our player base every weekend, we're not going to solve the level bloat.
No.
So even the I think now I don't have access to the numbers except for our own, but we're right around 25% of our player base resurrected in a year. right?
Yeah.
So any given game, there's a 25% chance that you're going to be one of the 25% that is going to be resurrecting that game, and even that is seen as high,
Yeah.
and it's not doing anything.
Yeah, it's not doing
It's not
anything.
impacting the level at all.
No.
So if we were to solve the level bloat that way, we would have to become such we would have to become a deadly game like Dragonfest is a deadly game.
Yeah.
Right? So where dying is very much just part of the experience and a fun part of the experience. It's
Yeah.
not
It's not a punishment.
yeah,
Dying's not a punishment.
it increases the opportunity for storytelling, and they at Dragonfest provide the experience of going to Limbus and dealing with that side of the adventure, where we have the resurrection system, which if you have a really good role player who's doing the resurrection stories, that could be really, really fun. Or
Or
it could be somebody just watching the stopwatch on their phone so they could do the 10 minutes and
yeah.
and when you're trying to do like we did earlier this year, the mass casualty event where we had set up a whole bunch of cots in our Healers Guild area because the engagement was like they were expecting a lot of casualties in the engagement, so the Healers Guild got ready. And we had a bunch of resurrections in there, but the challenge is when you stack up resurrections like that, there's not enough resurrectors for the resurrectees.
So you end up sitting there as a spirit and twiddling your thumbs for 25 minutes.
Yeah, and there's just some limitations to the game, and maybe it's our interpretation of the game. I'll give that to you, but there's limitations where what I would like to see in that type of environment, particularly when it is a say it's the culminating fight of the whatever the plot line is. So you got the MacGuffin, you beat the bad guy, but you knew it was going to be a high casualty event. What I would want to do as a producer would be to have one of my better storytellers do that resurrection for everybody as a whole, so they could have a guaranteed molded experience. So we'll go through with that storyteller like the arc of what we want to get out there to them. It's not as specialized and as individualized per person,
Right.
but that's like what I would like to have happen, and that's by the constraints of the game, not something that we can currently do.
Right.
So it is, and it's a challenge, right? So
Yeah. And I want to respond to this comment real quick from Nikki saying they don't believe getting rid of Eviscerate is going to solve anything. We're definitely not talking about getting rid of one thing, fixing it. This is more of an open discussion on it's bigger than a skill, right? This issue is bigger than one skill. It's bigger than a multitude of skills. This is an issue that is stemming from how things are stackable in the game that may need to be readdressed in general. This definitely isn't like getting rid of one thing is going to fix everything.
Yeah.
So we're not saying getting rid of Eviscerate is going to fix anything. We're just saying getting rid of Eviscerate is a thought from some people, but this is a bigger issue than just one skill.
Yeah, and it's not going to. So the frustrations on the production side of playing BBG versus a whole bunch of Eviscerates right now, I don't think getting rid of Eviscerate will stop that problem, because those points are still in the system and they will be spent on something else. And if that player is already the min-max style of play, which is a style of play, how can I get the biggest bang for my body point and build point? So all of those points are just going to go into their sleigh stack. So their individual sleighs will start to become
Higher.
300, 400, 500, and they'll have 17 of them for a day. Now the body carrier, I think it's a cool piece of flavor, but by the amount of actual repped armor on NPCs throughout the Alliance that I've seen,
it's not like you have to use the body carrier on NPCs, and there's also ways to get the body carrier on your sleighs anyway.
Yeah.
So, it's not like the be-all end-all is that's the only one that can do body. I mean, it's...
Yeah, and that's one of the challenges I think that ARC and the committees and the owners have to deal with, and why taking the process slower and having it be more precise rather than continuously throwing band-aids on and thinking that one little nuance, right? One little nudge is going to change the entire problem, when the problem is, I think, much more systemic throughout the Alliance. It's all of those levels out there. So they're just going to replicate that burst damage someplace else.
Yeah.
Right. And yeah, Mary Margaret, like a good resurrection story can totally, completely make and really be formative to your character, and give such good direction to where you want to take that person.
Yeah. It's, I definitely, like, as somebody who has had both really good and really bad individual resurrections, they can definitely make or break, like, choices that your character makes. I think having the option of a group resurrection would be a nice option.
Yeah.
If, you know, you're there at a game and you don't know anybody. I had this happen to me at a castle event. I resurrected and I knew absolutely nobody there. Nobody would resurrect me. So I was sitting there in the circle for a long time because everyone was like, I don't know that spirit. So if there was an option for me to, like, hop into the train of other people that were actively getting resurrected as I sat there, that would have been a better experience for me as a player, although my character wouldn't have had that. Thankfully, Nate finally jumped in and was like, I'll do it. So shout out to Nate, owner of Minnesota. Finally got me free there. But I think a group resurrection would be a nice option. And also, it also saves time, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you know, like, this entire mod is gonna die, you can just do the resurrections all at once, and then, you know, I'll have that to contend with, is that you came through that experience together as a group. I think that'd be a cool option.
Yeah, there's certainly times in LARP where sometimes the rules destroy the moment. Like there are rules in place in LARP and throughout the Alliance that have come and gone over the years. And then some of them are made with the best of intentions. So back in the day, you used to have to study during your reset.
You
right?
did, yeah. You had to be seen studying.
So not only did you have to go to logistics, get all your tags, but you had to go somewhere and role play studying.
Yeah.
And if you were into it, and if you did something like, hey, we're going to have a wizard study session, and that'll count. We're going to do a bunch of cool role play stuff that'll bring the game and raise it for everybody and raise the immersion.
We used to do that in Crossroads. The Healers Guild used to all remem together.
Yep. So you could do it that way, or you could just stare at that stack card like you're supposed to for the allotted 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So again, that rule, when people are forced into it, when it's not a creative choice that they get to make, well, what good did that rule actually do to the game? What did it bring by being a rule? So a lot of that, I think, as we're exposed to more and more different versions of this art form, and as this art form spreads out among the media, just like we're doing right now, this is all very much part of it. And for the LARPers of the future, what they're going to bring to the changes of this, for the Alliance owners of the future, where they're going to take this, it's really, really complicated, guys, you know? And
Sorry, I just read this comment from Dark Crest Productions that Chicago has something called the Grasp, and now I have to go die in Chicago. Thank you.
yes,
I'm gonna run to Chicago and just throw myself on the flames so I can real quick see what the Grasp is about, because I want to know now.
Yep.
See, that's really cool, and now I want to know.
first week of January, go out, get killed in Chicago to find out what they do there.
Yep. I'm going. I'm
but
going
yeah,
there.
but yeah, imagine if that was more an integral part of the LARP experience was loss in the character motivations that come from that.
Yeah.
It's interesting how LARPers tend to want to have the most tragic backstory, but it's always off stage.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to see how motivating it can be to LARPers to actually have some in-game tragedy happen to them and their character, and to see how it focuses their gameplay and their character concept like that more than any of their backstory that was tragic and over the top,
Yeah.
versus that one guy that screwed you over.
Yeah.
It's
I
more
mean,
personal.
for my Crossroads players, what if Farmer John was just in your backstory instead of you actually getting backstabbed and betrayed by this NPC and having real consequences for your character that came from that? And if you don't know about Farmer John, you should come to Crossroads.
Yeah. Because no NPC is a throwaway NPC.
Yep, exactly. You never know what's gonna stick.
Yep. But guys, we're aside from us hitting all of our new tech and everything.
Yeah, punching it so hard.
I really wish that we could have a silver bullet solution to the issues that the Alliance is facing as far as level creep and burst damage. And I'm not sure, like we said, taking one of those skills away is just going to move that burst damage someplace else. It's still going to happen to you. It's just they're going to be saying something different.
It's a different word.
Now, if those numbers get brought down, okay, that's certainly part of it. But in most cases, whenever we've scaled down the numbers, that's always left like some kind of skill or power vacuum that was immediately filled by other stuff, be it high magic or be it more crafting. That just adds even more power and more stuff that you can do, and that's really, really motivating to the people that want to get those things. But as a game runner, when you're having to face and balance a challenging environment for people, or a story environment where they should lose,
Yeah.
what happens when you can't actually play that card? Like when you don't have, it's always been a challenge when you have less in-game skill in your NPC camp than you do in your player base.
I think Atlanta did something like that. They had a mod where you brought a level 2 character card, and that's what you got to use for that entire encounter. You did not have all of your skills. You had whatever you could get for 25 build.
Well, I have to say, in my experiences playing the low-level, particularly like low-level campaign games, everybody who has ever played the lower-level specific level-capped campaigns always come away saying that that's the game that I wanted to play. That's the game that's where the Alliance was designed to be, in that 15 to 25 to 30 tops level.
Absolute tops.
Where, and I have a tune that's well above that cap. But it has kind of diminishing returns on both sides of the aisle,
Yeah, I mean, like, my main character at this point is level 27, and I've stopped allocating experience points because I like where I'm at. I like the challenge that it gives me, because I still have low enough skills that I can run out of things. So I've stopped allocating experience points for my character at this point. I still collect experience points when I go and play games, but they just sit there because I don't want more. I'm happy at 25, technically.
Well, there's, and Nikki, you made a good point about a higher level epic mod. Now, we've done those in the past, and again, it has, at least back then, diminishing returns in that we would pull. It started, okay, so back in the day, we started this thing where we would pull the really good players, regardless of level, the best players of the game to do super secret, high stakes mods in the middle of the night. After everybody went to sleep, it was statted on direct par, so we would stat same level, and then we would have an approximate level of items that were on the players that the NPCs would also have. So it was a straight 1-to-1. We tried to get as close to the 1-to-1 ratio as we could and have it be super hard for super high level people. We didn't get the players that we thought we were going to get. Worked out good for a little while, but then folks that didn't have the skill set would start showing up with their cards, but not particularly the skill set to play those cards at a high
even
enough level.
the knowledge to play. Like, there's so many things you have to memorize to play a high level character. If you don't have that, like, in your brain ready to go, like, it's really hard to keep up with stuff like that.
Yeah, so when you have that A team of players getting together, you have to have an A team of NPCs to counterbalance them that know just as much as they do. And that's kind of hard to come by these days. Either you'll have a group of really, really high-end players that jump the fence for you a little while, but in most cases, the average NPC is much less skilled in the individual game than the average player. So at a certain point, it's like, yeah, we can stat something that will give you the loss that the story dictates, but we'll cheese it a little bit with the stat cards because like we don't have the skill set out of game to get these hits off on you. And then there's purists out there that'll say something along the lines of, well, that's you play to the utmost of your ability on the card, and then well, my counter to that is like, aren't we supposed to be role playing what we aren't and telling stories? And
Yeah. Like, I don't necessarily always want a zombie or a skeleton NPC to come out and play the best of their ability to the card, because then I'm not fighting a skeleton or a zombie.
Yeah.
I'm fighting Tab, I'm fighting Dan, I'm fighting Nate. Like, I'm not fighting the monster. And so then it becomes a sport.
Yeah.
It's not a role-playing game anymore. It becomes a contact sport.
Yeah.
That I lose every time. And it's fine, I don't mind losing, but like, it's a lot more fun when you have those NPCs who commit to the bit.
Yeah.
And they might have a stronger card than you, but they're a slow swinging zombie and they have a big two-hander that you can dodge because their arms are falling off. They can't swing as fast. I think that's a better experience than just numbers versus numbers.
Yeah. So it's it's the challenges that we're facing when we're putting out these games and trying to play these games. And I really hope that some players watch this, obviously, get the word out, come watch us, check it out. But there's been more than one time, more than 50, where if the player base itself would see things a little bit more empathetically towards the backstage area.
Yeah.
And maybe, and this isn't, it's not pointed out to anybody individually, but there's certain times when, like, maybe the high level players should back off, or vice versa. Like, lower level folks should be like,
This is not meant for me.
too rich for my blood.
Yeah.
And take those. And it's in the delivery and the reception of those things where it all hangs. And it's really interesting, the difference between a player who's invested in a game environment versus one who just wants to game the environment. Right?
Yeah.
And I think that the higher level game starts taking away from the environment way too much. And it starts to become way too much about those stats and saying, instead of having those things, I don't know, like it kind of pops you out of your mind's eye, envisioning when you're doing, like you said earlier, India, when a skill is countered by a skill, we're just saying things at each other instead of doing things to each other, and at a certain point it diminishes the physicality of the game, and those moments when you interact with your stats, which are the background of the game, but the physicality that gets your
immerses you in the game.
Your physiology, physiology, yes. You need to get in my interpretation, the full experience of LARP is that there is a physical component to it, that you are there, so your body is tricked in like little microdoses of being in that environment. And the more that we have to equate, the more that we have to go into our front brain memory it takes us out of those reactions that give
Yeah.
us those moments that we remember for everything. Because like very few of those stories that I hear LARPers tell me over the years involve, and then I got that stat just right.
Yeah, yeah. And then I remembered what the skill did.
Yeah, like it's incredibly rare that anybody talks about a stat card to me. They talk about moments. They talk about
Yeah.
memories. They talk about, did you see me when? Did I see you then? And can you believe that happened?
Yeah.
Those types of things. So, as I love the Alliance's rule set and have been a voting member over a decade, uh, its power is in its flexibility, but we're it feels like these past couple of years that we've been tacking on a whole bunch of stuff, and
Mhm.
now we're in the part of that ebb and flow where we want to start taking things away, and I'm a little worried that although we have some incredible intellects both on our national staff and on our owner staff, I think that one of the powers that we have as the Alliance is getting together with all of the stakeholders and sharing each other's experiences and trusting each other's experiences. There's something going on that has been brought to my attention about archery that I'm going to be taking a special look at and have since it's been brought up to me. I've been at 2 events since I talked to the dude about, well, since he talked to me about it, where I've been looking at them, and I am seeing a lot of power going towards archery in a lot of players, and when I'm seeing it happen, archery is impactful. I'm still not sold on it being a detriment to the game, because I like the visual breakup of not having everybody in a sword and shield configuration.
Yeah.
And having been in other LARP environments where they're more, quote, realistic, where an arrow is a game-changing interaction if you are on a real battlefield. Like you're going to be affected if you are hit by an arrow on the real battlefield, and it's going to be detrimental to you.
Yeah.
So, like, having them be difference makers on the battlefield in a place where it's really easy not to notice a packet.
Oh, it's so easy to miss an
And
archer.
yeah, when you account into that, like the miss rate, the ignore rate.
Oh yeah, especially like in the dark or from behind, like spells and arrows and alchemy. Like the amount of times you just have to be like, okay, so I definitely got hit with a packet. I don't know where it came from, and I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
And then you're getting hit by 15 other people, and you just choose to ignore that packet, or you don't even feel or see it or hear it. So the fact that people are like noticing archers, I'm like, hey, that's cool. They're noticing archers.
So, like, I'm in no way discounting the
No.
feedback that I've been given.
Yeah.
So I am definitely noticing that there's more people, and I think their individual gripe is that I think there's.
I think they have a lot of archers.
Yeah, and if the player base is listening, no shade on anybody, but apparently there's a horde of archers out there somewhere at the Alliance that are fucking things up.
that are just becoming a walking nightmare for some staff members somewhere.
And like, there's also part of me as like the old time owner to be like, oh, so the players kicked the shit out of you, huh? It happens. Welcome to it, new owner. But everybody knows what they're doing out there and has a good feedback to give, and I just hope that those and this is a message to my fellow owners and stakeholders and national staff members, just know that everybody out there is doing their best, and that's an interesting point right there. Machine orthodoxy, how about they just don't change the rules? Cool. But if we didn't do that, right? If we didn't change the rules, then we would still have ward keys of the 1990s. We would still have all of these customer service issues behind rules. We would have 10-minute effects. We would have effects that we would have to track over events. We would have tags that we would have to have a tag ring that's the size of a small book, and each chapter would have to spend hundreds of dollars a weekend just to produce the tags to run the game, just to tear them up and throw them on the ground at the end of the weekend. So being an evolving game system is what has kept the Alliance around so long. I'm convinced of this machine, but I do agree with you in the sense that if we slowed down the rate of change and had, and this is just my opinion, I'm not speaking for the Alliance as a whole, and I'm hitting my microphone again, but if we had like a scheduled update schedule where it's known this is the yearly update, this is the
I hate to say it, but
exactly what
like
you said.
a video game.
Ribbons for sword effects. So like you used to have to tie ribbons onto your arrow packets so that they would look different than arrows, which would end up them getting all tangled
And
in
stuck
your
in
thing.
trees and
just things to make them hard to being hard. So I agree. Changing every month, and one of the challenges, and that is a fair criticism of the Alliance, but one of the challenges is when we did such a large change from 2.0 to 2.1 and further, a lot of fixes had to be done. And the complexity of moving from a rule book, and this is over the span of a couple of years, a rule book to a rule book / player's guide, back into a rule book, and not having a lot of votes involved there, caused some simple translation errors that someone without the context of that rule thought that they were doing a fix, and it wasn't a fix. So a lot of these changes that seem arbitrary and off the cuff are actually just trying to fix
like wording and format
oversights.
and stuff. And as a person who doesn't like to learn new things on a repeated basis because my memory is not the best, I still can say that the fact that we can have discussions and semi-complain about things like this is good, because this kind of discussion stems from when things, like Tab said, are changing. So any kind of ruffled feathers or frustrations that come from this just means that the Alliance is listening and is trying to stay with the times. So the fact that we can have these disagreements and we can have this small like amounts of strife where we're like, but the changes, it is ultimately a good thing, right? Like, otherwise, if nothing was changing, we wouldn't have this many chapters, we wouldn't have this many players nationwide, and we wouldn't have, ultimately, at the end of the day, a better game than 1.3.
Yeah, and there's been plenty of positive changes over the years. It's really, overall, it's worth it. It's positive, but there is certainly a frustration out there. I'll bring out a perfect example and a little bit of a shout out. There's a lot of you out there that know Blue Wolf.
Oh yeah.
Dude doesn't play our game anymore because too many changes happened. He didn't like the way things were going, and he was no longer having fun playing the mechanics of the game. So we had somebody who would play everywhere, nationwide, who now plays someplace else. And you can never pinpoint what that deal breaker is going to be for any individual player, because every player has one, right? So that kind of leans towards less rules, more calls on the field, right? More creative fixes that are just for that individual moment. And the Alliance,
trust in the people running those encounters.
Yeah, and the Alliance, for their credit, actually is one of the more flexible with what they allow. I mean, sure, I've gotten some emails about some stuff that we've
had
off.
our wrists slapped once or twice.
But even then, it wasn't really a slap on the wrist. It was just a checkup. It was a phone call. It was a quick chat information. We're not...
Like, hey, I need more context for this.
Yeah, and we're not constantly having an axe over our head with our charter, and it has not always been like that. As far as my experiences with the ownership of the Alliance, I've been much closer in previous administrations to getting in trouble than I ever have with Matt and Dave. But yeah, we're doing our best. The people involved are doing their best, and I really wish, and the owners are starting to get there. We did one about a month and a half ago, where we had an owners meeting, a vocal, online talking to each other meeting, and those are always so much more. They can be a little bit chaotic and.
I mean, you get a bunch of basically nerds and theater kids into a room, and it's gonna be a little chaotic.
Yeah, but also totally worth it. And even if nothing is, quote, done, like even if the bylaws aren't updated or rule isn't updated after one of those conversations, hearing each other's voices is so important, particularly when things can be misinterpreted in text form,
Yes.
to have heat when they're not meant to have heat, when you're just discussing something. And it can get off into this like spiral of negativity really quick when everybody's just trying to move forward for the greater thought of the game. So with that being said, we're at like an hour and 10
I know,
minutes
we
here.
started talking and then we didn't shut up.
My goodness. So yeah, we started off with burst damage and level creep, and ended up talking about some alliance changes
I
and
feel like we do that
frustrations.
every time.
Yeah.
We start with one thing and like veer off a side road somewhere. We take an exit somewhere. We're like, how do we get back here?
Yeah. Well, that's the fun
Yeah,
of
I'll
conversation.
end this LARP talk by just saying, hey, because we are, we do talk about these things on these streams. Talk to your local ownership too if you feel strongly about something, but also, again, the fact that we have these disagreements and these challenges as an organization means that it is a growing and evolving thing that will stay with the times as people continue to grow. So have these conversations with your ownership and your staff, but with a gentler hand than can be construed online.
Yes, very much so. So we have a big year planned coming
Yes.
up for you guys. We will be seeing you next month in January. Well, late January. Where do we want to put this thing?
At Atlanta? Oh, for this thing.
yeah, like
the
that.
other thing that we do.
Yeah, this live stream
Yeah,
stuff.
late January. Yeah.
So then, yeah. So,
After the new year.
yeah. So we'll see you 2025. Thanks for hanging out for the last little bit of 2024. It's still a little bit early in December to be talking year-end type stuff, but it was a pleasure hanging out with y'all, seeing a lot of you on the road this year. We can't wait to get back out on the road and shooting new episodes for season 5.
Yes, season 5. Because we're releasing season 3. Yes, season
So
5.
Season 3 is still in production.
Yes.
Season 4 is in the can.
Yes.
And we start shooting season 5 either in January at Atlanta or in March in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
Because I really like having Atlanta being our first shot episode every year.
It's always a very pretty episode.
Yeah, David runs a hell of a game down there, and it's always visually stimulating and a great group of people.
Yeah, they have a pretty athletic group of people down there, so they film very well.
Heck yeah. Oh, I gotta start training. I'm so out of shape.
I'm so out of shape too.
But guys, thank you so much. We'll see you in Atlanta. We will see you down the road at LARPs, near you, near us. Again, I don't know if we brought up bringing up a potential Discord for the Dragon Fest folks.
Yeah, keep an eye on our Discord for that link. And if you want to join, just let me know, and I'll get you an invite to that Discord. Alliance Invades Dragonfest.
Heck yeah, Alliance invades Dragon Fest. Well, not really invades.
Not really invading,
Dragon
but
Fest folks, you don't have to worry about it. We'll be
no,
fine.
we're fine. We're just
We-
bringing a bunch of people.
We might bring some gnomes. I might know of a few. So, guys, thank you so much for checking out our live stream. This is our 26th live stream, our last one of 2024. We had a blast. Hopefully, all of these new doodads did not
Catch fire.
catch fire or decrease your enjoyment of our production here. Again, this is just our visually showing our investment in this project, our investment in getting the word of LARP out to you guys, and how much fun I have doing this with my good friend India. India, thank you so much for sharing yet another year here on this silly little show that we're building.
Heck yeah. Can't wait to do it again next year.
Yeah. So until next time, guys, we'll see you guys out there. And yeah, let somebody know that the next best thing about LARP could be them. Bye.
Bye.
Whoa! Oh no!
Oh no!
What am I
Oh
supposed
no!
to-
Wait.